As we explored in the video I put out a few days ago, Splatoon Raiders currently has an 81 on Metacritic, on the critic side. Out of all the notable publications that submitted their reviews, I really don't know how it works, like who gets to be in the club or whatever, but out of all of them, their scores kind of added up, averaged out to 8.1. Which is good, which is pretty darn good. You know, there were plenty critics who thought the game was really amazing, and then a bunch that just kind of, good, very good. Then some more middling reviews. There was one that was actually a little bit low. Plenty critics thought it was, even if it was good, a little bit repetitive. So nothing like super special or anything, but overall pretty good. But it seems that in this case, as is so often the case, we are seeing a rather large discrepancy between the critic score and the user score. And this is very common, on the internet, especially these days. You see a lot of animosity toward journo types, game reviewers. They're often treated as subhuman, not even deserving of the title gamer with a capital G. And I do not necessarily subscribe to that line of thinking, although I do completely recognize that when you review games as a career professionally, it can definitely have an impact on your relationship with those games, how you see games, versus a person who's just kind of like casually playing whatever game they feel like playing at whatever pace. A game reviewer, they play all these games. They have to review games within like a certain time frame and everything. So I think they can have an impact. That does not mean that their opinions don't mean anything, but again, I just understand why you often see these pretty big differences between the critic score and the user score. Sometimes one will be higher, the other will be lower, and it's not necessarily always one way or the other. Critics can love it, audience cannot. Audience can love it, critics cannot, whatever. But in this case, with Splatoon Raiders, we are actually seeing a pretty darn big discrepancy. Right now, the user score on Metacritic is 9.3. And on the surface, that may not seem like a very big difference. It's only a 1.2 difference. But it actually is pretty darn significant. And that's because on the user side, anybody can submit a score. And of course, that is exactly why Metacritic scores don't really mean a lot. You don't really put a lot of stock in it. It's just kind of something to look at, something to get kind of a general vibe for how people are feeling about a game. You don't really take it very seriously, Like if, for example, all of the critics really love a game because it's just this like really emotional, impactful experience, just a really wonderful work of art, a real just human expression of the people who made it, but one of the characters has blue hair, then all of the capital G gamers will rally together to review bomb the game, and they can bring it down several points. But that unstable nature is kind of why when a game has like a genuinely high user score, it kind of makes it a little bit more impressive, like especially now that we're all talking about it. Like if people don't just go and review bomb it just because, and if it can maintain this user score, well then there you go. That means people are actually feeling pretty good about the game. Of course, people can do the opposite of review bombing, but whatever. You imagine that in the end, at the end of the day, it probably all evens out. And the point I'm trying to make is 9.3 is pretty darn good. You want to know how good 9.3 is? 9.3 puts it at number 7 in the top 10 highest user rated games of all time. Of all time. No kidding. And there are no other Nintendo games above it, so that puts it at the top of just Nintendo games overall on Metacritic. And as for games that released this year, it is second only to Resident Evil Requiem. Resident Evil Requiem and Clair Obscur are number 2 and number 1 respectively, which does sort of maybe suggest a bit of a recency bias, but then you've got some classics too. Number 4 is Silent Hill 2 for PS2. You got Metal Gear Solid 3. Number 3 is Disney's Cory in the House, which does sort of highlight just the nature of what we're dealing with Metacritic. But yeah, you can see right there, Splatoon Raiders is number 7. People are really, really, really liking it. And I think this is really interesting because, again, like it makes sense for the critics to feel one way and the players to feel another. A critic who plays a lot of games and probably like crammed a lot of this game to play it. Like, the game is really good, but it is repetitive. Like, I'm really enjoying it, but it's got a certain flavor, and it does not really deviate from that flavor the whole time. So I could see why a critic may not be as into it, especially if they had to play a whole bunch. But like, audiences just seem to be really, really loving it. And at the risk of this turning into just a second impressions video, I really cannot tell you. I really cannot properly express how much fun I'm having with this game. I really cannot. I've streamed the game for a total of well over 24 hours. I did a 12-hour stream yesterday, played it nonstop, did an 11-hour stream a couple of days ago, and I'm gonna stream more today. I really genuinely can't put the game down. And so that's why I'm doing this video here, is I really just want to highlight, for the right person, this game hits so good. It hits so incredibly hard, and it's really making me happy to see how well it's doing just among the players. And of course, I will go more into all of this in more detail and you know, worded better, with better words and thoughts and things in the full review. But like, Splatoon has such good gameplay, but if you're like me and it's like, all right, I'm not a PvP guy, I'm just not, I'm never gonna be, but I love Splatoon, I love the controls and everything, so that's why, like, the campaigns were always fun, but they were always so short. And then Salmon Run was really, really fun because that wasn't competitive, it was cooperative. But of course, that was difficult because it wasn't always easy to get friends together. You could play with randos online, and that was okay. But even beyond that, there were just a lot of limitations. You couldn't choose what weapon you used. There was no real, like, customization or anything, and there was no real progression system. You know, you do well enough, and you go up, like, the ranks, whatever your Grizzco title would go up, and of course, the higher it goes, then the harder everything gets. But that was basically it. It was basically, you do well, and the rank goes up, and you do poorly, and the rank goes down, and that's it. And yet it was still so much fun because the core gameplay of Splatoon was so fun, and the idea of Salmon Run, you know, fighting these hordes of salmonids, was just really amazing. And so this game right here, it's just like, for a person like me, this is Splatoon just to its fullest potential. Just no limitations anymore. And it's like, it has completely unlocked the fun. It is now fun to the maximum degree. And I'm seeing this echoed everywhere. And I'm seeing this echoed here in the user reviews and user scores on Metacritic. You know, and I've seen a lot of people say, like, you know, Splatoon is actually really fun when you're not just getting destroyed and sniped constantly. Splatoon is actually really fun when you don't just feel like a garbage player because you can't get anywhere, because you cannot win a single match, you know? Splatoon is really fun when you have more than like a 4 or 5 hour campaign to do, when you've got a real, full experience to just sink your teeth into. It is so ridiculously fun. And then, of course, when you've got this full fat, fully fledged, fleshed progression system, this game is basically an RPG. It's a looter shooter. You've got all of the loot drops, and you're collecting the resources, and you're customizing all your guns, and you're making parts to customize the guns, and you're upgrading your guns, and it's incredible. You're just fighting stronger and stronger salmonids. You're just watching the numbers go up, and it's just so good. It's really incredibly good. And so I am not surprised at all. I'm not surprised at all that the user score is so high. I don't want to get my hopes up. I don't know how well the game is going to sell. I've already talked about it before, how like with a spin-off, there's a chance that it could appeal to only a percentage of the pre-existing fan base, and so it's not going to sell as well. But in this case, I think it does appeal to people who like wanted to be Splatoon fans, but just couldn't get into a PvP series. But now they have access to it, so it can kind of go beyond that initial fan base. For all I know, we're gonna get the sales numbers and it'll sell a few million. You know, like it'll like 3 million, 4 million. It'll sell fine. I don't know. Like that would still be good. Like that would still absolutely be a successful game. Even when compared to, you know, Splatoon 3 was like 13 or 14. No, 2 was 13 or 14. 3 was like 11 or 12 or something. I just would not be surprised if this game turned into something big. I really would not be surprised. Just like right now, it's still only been out for like under a week. And yet just hearing people's reactions to it and my own feelings, I think this could be something. I really do think that this could at least potentially become something that could rival the main games. I mean, I don't know. Multiplayer games, they tend to do very well. There are a lot of people who like to play PvP multiplayer games. At the same time, though, people also like co-op games, and just about this entire game can be played co-op. And if anything, they could expand the co-op nature of this game in future titles or updates or whatever. So I'm just saying there's a chance this game will do fine. It'll do well enough, a few million copies, and that'll be good. But like, I really think there's a chance this could become just another big thing. Like, maybe not as big as mainline Splatoon, but maybe. Really, honestly, maybe. Just based on how people are reacting to it. I keep reading comments, even while streaming it. People in chat. So many people, countless people, just being like, yeah, I never cared about Splatoon. I'm not a PvP person, but this looks too fun. Either they're saying, I've got to pick this up. It looks like too much fun. Or they're like, I did pick it up and now I cannot put it down. So it's not only a Splatoon game that can potentially appeal to a person who thought Splatoon looked cool, but they just don't like PvP multiplayer games, so like probably a pretty big percentage of the gaming population. Not only is it a Splatoon game that can now be sold to them, but it itself is just an incredibly good, just ridiculously addictive game. Just a perfect example of one of those games you pick it up and you just can't put it down again, and hours and hours and hours and hours go by. Like, yeah, again, 12-hour stream yesterday. It was like hour, like, I don't know, 8 or 9 or something, when people were like, dude, have you had dinner? Like, do you need to go to bed? Are you okay? And I genuinely was just like, what? Like, what time is it? It was like waking up from a dream. I just think Nintendo could have something really big on their hands. And this is just the beginning, is the thing. There's room for DLC. There's room for sequels. This is already a feature-complete game. I feel like I couldn't be happier, and yet, like, no, there could be sequels, absolutely. There's always more guns, more salmonids, more levels, more types of like, just, it's already, like, perfect, and yet you can still see how it can be improved and added to later on. I think this could be the beginning of its own separate parallel series that I don't know, might even rival the mainline games. But only time will tell. For now, it's so good. It's just, I mean, it's so good. I can't even, it's just so good. It's so good, you guys.